sex and drugs and rock and roll. Not often found on the CV of a Church of England vicar. But, it was another life.
Do you do confessions with that?
I had a go at it. It was so long, my first one, that we stopped for sandwiches in the middle. That's how you pick up a vicar.
Wasn't it a funny place?
So there was me and this Love Island finalist sharing a bed on the first night. My agent said that's a bit like giving a pork pie to a vegan.
You were the inspiration for the character Tom in Bridget Jones.
That's true, actually, yeah. Well, one of the things you learn at theological college is how to deal with what, in the sort of everyday parlance, are called cassock chasers.
Today's guest has lived more lives than most people manage in 10 lifetimes. 80s pop star, parish priest, broadcaster, best-selling crime writer, and now host of Channel 5's Catching Up with the Royals. Please welcome the wonderful Richard Coles.
Hello.
We start this podcast, as they call it, with it's sort of like a quickfire thing. Now, who is your ultimate TV crush? Who's the guy you go, oh my God?
Rylan, of course.
Oh, is it Rylan?
Oh, God, yeah.
I love Rylan. I've got a great story about Rylan.
Have you? Can you share it?
Yes. When I did Loose Women, and I just had the twins, and I was in my dressing room, and I wasn't sleeping much. I was a bit, and he knocked on the door, and he said, I used to really like you in Coronation Street. And I had wet hair, I had a towel on, and he came in and he just sat down and had a lovely chat.
He wouldn't.
Made himself a cup of tea.
It wouldn't occur to him.
I went, Rylan, I've got to get changed because I've got to go to the meeting. He went, oh, yeah, anyway. And he just started that journey now. I get it. He's gorgeous.
He's the only man I know who I can tell when he's round the corner because I can smell his own brand aftershave from like 100 yards away.
Is it Oody?
I don't know what it is, but it's got oud all over it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
the kids like oud nowadays.
Well, I noticed that. I mean, it's so powerful. It's almost, the only stronger smell is skunk, I think. But you smell oud and skunk often together, don't you? You do in Eastbourne. Would you? I find oud too.
No, it's too much for me. No, the hormones and I'm menopausal. You know what I mean, Richard?
Well, not really, but do you know what? I found myself the other day thinking, I'd like to try a hot flush. And then I said this to a friend of mine, and she said, you really don't.
You really don't. No. I feel like you're going to faint. What's a show that you've rewatched more than any other?
The Sopranos.
Yes.
Best thing, apart from Coronation Street, ever made, I think.
It is.
It's just, and every time you watch it, every time I go and watch it, I must watch it 4 or 5 times, the whole thing. I think, it won't stand up, but it does stand up.
And then you find something else in it.
So rich.
It was absolutely. Now, which TV family would you happily join? Would it be the Sopranos?
No, not that one. I quite like the Bellamy's from Upstairs, Downstairs, yes. But we're going back a few years now.
Oh no, I remember them.
I'd quite like to be top. I don't want to go down on the Titanic or lose all my money in the Wall Street crash.
Yeah.
But a life of some idleness and luxury would be nice. I don't want to clean anything.
So what TV death are you still not over?
Damon from Brookie. Do you remember?
Of course.
He went for a weekend with his girlfriend, and he to York and got stabbed. Couldn't believe it.
Oh, bro.
His life ebbed away in front of me, and I thought, this can't be happening, but it happened.
Oh, I think mine's Angie from EastEnders.
Oh, yeah.
God, I love her. Now, this is a tough one for you.
Right.
Do you prefer Strictly or I'm a Celeb?
I'm a celeb. Tell you why.
Go on.
I can't dance, but I can eat cockroaches. So it's purely for selfish reasons in that I made a better fist of eating a cockroach than I did of a paso doble.
That's brilliant.
And I like both the programmes, actually. I like a big reality format.
I think those two formats, personally, are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, religion.
Yeah.
Big word. How did you find it? Did you grow up in a very religious household?
Well, not really. No, my mum and dad were both sort of Church of England.
Okay.
But they didn't really. My father didn't like any sort of show of belief or anything. He used to think it was all a bit weird. He liked things to be proper and in their place. So he liked, the status quo, I guess. And then I was a chorister when I was a kid, so I had a nice voice when I was a little boy. So I was singing, Amazing. I was in chapel singing in the choir all the time. I didn't believe any of it at all, but I think it must have kind of left an impression because later on in life, when I did get curious about that stuff, I knew where to go.
Yeah, you knew the gist of it.
And I liked the music, and I liked the building, and I liked the people. I liked everything about it except believing something that seemed to me to be
ridiculous.
But then all of a sudden it stopped seeming ridiculous.
Being ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating because I love all the gists that go with it. But I'm not a believer personally, but I love a church. I love the architecture. I love the paintings. I love the smell. I love the music. I love it all.
I think if anyone who's ever loved theatre will find something very resonant in
definitely.
tradition.
It's a big show, isn't it?
It's a lot of it is showbiz, I think.
It's showbiz.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, fell in love with music then when you're a chorister, because that's not sort of a throwaway sentence, but my brother was a chorister. Well, it wasn't really equivalent in sort of working class Manchester. He was in the Manchester Boys Choir, which was the biggest choir. You had to audition a million times, and he had this amazing voice. And he used to sing a lot in cathedrals and whatever. And it's very difficult to be a chorister.
Well, I think what's interesting, you make music to a professional standard while you are literally in short trousers.
Yes.
So it's a fantastic training.
Yeah.
And also you get this intense experience at a time in your life when you just soak everything up.
Yeah.
So it formed me for life, I think, really. And that's what I did. My favourite thing now is singing the Brighton Festival chorus. So I am every Tuesday night in the Medical Lecture Theatre in the University of Sussex.
Oh, I love it.
We have a skeleton on the thing. And they wheel in a piano and we bash out Bach St. John Passion at the moment.
Oh, I love it.
I love it.
Oh, that's brilliant. So that's when you left Kettering at 18.
16, actually.
16.
Because do you know why, Sally?
Tell me.
I wanted to be an actor. So I went to Stratford College in Stratford-on-Avon, which was a sort of...
At 16?
Yeah, 16. You could go and do your theatre studies A-level plus vocational training for drama. So it was like going to drama school, but it's 16 instead of 18. So that's what I did. And I found out, I learned something very useful. I wasn't a very good actor. In fact, if it was a tragedy, I'd come on and everyone would laugh.
Right.
If it was a comedy, I'd come on and everyone would just go... And exactly the opposite reaction. And the bloke said to me, maybe you shouldn't really do this. And I said, why not? And he said, you're not good enough.
Wow, that's quite...
needed to know.
On point, isn't it?
But I needed to know, and he was right. But what I could do was theatre music. And so that was the thing that kind of got my joke of a career going, was theatre music, really.
And so were you very disappointed in yourself when you found out you couldn't act? Because everybody thinks they can act, don't they? Everybody thinks they can act. They think it's just easy.
I am a frustrated actor still. So my partner's an actor, a proper actor. And I know when I see him do what he does. When I did it, I was faking it.
Yeah.
When he does it, he becomes another person.
Yeah.
But he does let me read in when he's doing self-tapes.
Oh, so you still do a bit?
Well, but no, he's asked me not to do it. And I said, why not? He said, you're enjoying this too much. And I kind of think, Sally, that it'll go in and the cast will be going, well, but who's that voice in the background?
Would you, that's sort of the dream. That actually happened to me, you know.
Shut up.
So I was reading for this Welsh kind of BBC drama. It was very ethereal. It was about this snow queen. I wasn't the snow queen, but obviously, but the snow queen lived in a hill somewhere. It was all very ethereal. It was BBC Wales, but I've got relatives in Wales, so I can do a genuinely North Walian accent. And my agent remembered this weirdly and said, do you want to read for this? And I went, all right then. So my little boy, Louis, who was I've got twins, but he was, I think he was 8 at the time. He read in The Little Boy and then picked up my Welsh accent. And then they rang up and said, will he audition? And I went, what? And I went, okay. And I did a little self-tape anyway. The pandemic happened and that was it. But that literally did happen to me, which I am an actor, and quite a good one.
It does happen.
Does
the voice in the background.
Keep reading in.
No, he won't let me anymore. I think he's wisely seen that I enjoy it too much.
Well, as you know, my husband's a drummer because obviously you toured with him in Wedge years ago, Steve White. And
love Steve.
I know he's lovely. I know, I've been with him 22 years now, Richard.
He's still 18 in my memory.
I tell you, he looks well.
Do you know my favourite memory of touring is your Steve?
Oh.
He was style counsel and I was comedy officer. We were doing the Red Wedge tour and we stayed at this posh castle in Scotland. And Steve was 18 and came from London, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
South East London.
We walked into the library and there was all this lovely Regent's Library now, and he went, blimey, what a lot of videos.
You deny, like. Oh, God, love him. I've got to go to a break now, but listen to A Night In with Sally Lindsay every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts. Watch on YouTube and stream on 5. Now, we've got a little question before the break. Some trivia for you. Richard was one half of 80s synth pop band, The Communards, alongside the wonderful Jimmy Somerville. how many weeks was their hit Don't Leave Me This Way at number 1 in the UK charts? Tell you after the break. Welcome back. Richard, how many weeks do you reckon it was that amazing song was number 1?
I've no idea. I remember it was number 1 because Elton John sent us a case of champagne.
It was brilliant. You're such a brilliant band.
In fact, we got loads of champagne. I remember we were like champagne because we were on tour at the time. We just kept getting champagne from people.
Sort of sick of champagne.
You get a bit sick of champagne.
Well, back then, it was number 1 for 4 weeks.
Oh, right.
It was literally like a year now, isn't it?
Yeah,
'Cause it was just...
It just felt like the record. Well, I think it was the biggest selling single of the year, and it just seemed. And it's still, people still play it now.
It must have been. It was
the gift that keeps on giving.
It's the gift that keeps giving. Yeah.
I got a royalty
PRS
statement from, I think it was Ecuador, 64p.
I love that. Jimmy Somerville, who I'm absolutely, what a wonderful, wonderful singer. I've never met him as a person, but how did you meet?
Well, we both ran away to London when we were 18. So Jimmy arrived at Euston Station from Glasgow, really tough working class sectarian background in Maryhill in Glasgow. And I arrived at St Pancras Station, posh public school boy, Middle England. But we both ran away to London to find a livable life as young gay men. I wasn't going to do that in Kettering. He wasn't going to do that in Maryhill.
And where did you go to? I was, because Lily did this, so Grady did this. And I don't know, how did you... Where did you live?
Well, we actually met in a gay bookshop, still there, called Gay's the Word, in Marchmont Street in Bloomsbury. We met, there was a cafe at the back. That's where we met.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy lived in King's Cross and I lived in King's Cross, and we and our flatmates became friends. And then our dole checks arrived on alternate weeks.
Brilliant.
So when we'd run out, we'd go around there and have some horrible lentil slop. And then when they'd run out, they'd come around to us and have some horrible lentil slop. And we became friends.
It sounds like, to me, it's sin.
It was so like watching It's a Sin. Weirdly, my partner is in It's a Sin. So he just made things even more complicated. Do you remember there's a chap who was on his deathbed dying of AIDS in It's a Sin?
Oh,
that was Dickie. So
is that your fella?
Yeah. So it felt like...
God, he's brilliant.
It was like watching a sort of documentary of your own life. I knew a version of all those people and ended up going out with one of the actors. So,
But that sounds like it, doesn't it? Like you just literally can't live a life here. This is not my truth. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I've got to find myself. Do you think that's where sort of the band came from, or the art came from, the struggle? Where did it all come from? I think
it was that. Because I'm by temperament, a sort of timid, conventional person. But I just knew when I hit adolescence that if there was a livable life for me, I was going to have to run away to find it. And I thought it would happen in London, and it did. So I sort of had to find some courage to do that. And like most things, when you have to find some courage, it sort of paid off. And I just met a lot of other people who are doing the same thing. And those friendships I formed then are my core friendships.
Still?
Now, yeah. So
That's amazing.
God, it was more than 40 years ago now.
Now, Top of the Pops. Let's talk about Top of the Pops. I know...
Have you ever done it?
Well, I did it because I was in St Mary's School Choir, and there's no one quite like Grandma.
Shut up. I didn't know that, Sally.
Yeah, so 1980s. I'm 52. So I'm 8 years younger than Steve. Steve's 60.
He's 17, for God's sake.
He's not. He's 60 now. I know. He's not 17. It's funny, we saw, who's that lovely fella in the Pet Shop Boys? Oh, Chris.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because our friend is Jonathan Harvey as well, and we were at one of his bookshop, obviously it's a beautiful thing, and we were at this wonderful premiere of one of his shows, and Chris went, "Little Stevie White, last time I saw you, we were getting on a plane," and it's hilarious that he's remembered this little kid, because he must have been such a little kid running around you all, with his little drumsticks.
But he was so infectiously engaging and so good at his... he was just very talented. And also that thing about, it's like if you work with young actors too, they don't know how good they are.
No idea.
That raises your game, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's sort of infectious youth. But yeah, anyway, so I was on Top of the Pops in 1980, so there's no one quite like Grandma.
So you were the first of everyone.
First, yeah. And it went to number 1 for 4 weeks as well.
Shut up.
In December, it was Christmas. Christmas number 1. And I was 7, I know. So hilariously, when I first met Steve, I walked into the studio going, it's all coming back. Nobody didn't get a laugh. But, he was obviously Top of the Pops. But wasn't it a funny place?
Well, it was so tiny.
Tiny.
And so tatty and so very
rubbish.
BBC. It was all put together with gaffer tape, wasn't it?
It was all rubbish.
Just thought, well, where's the real studio?
Yeah, where's the curtains and the champagne and stuff?
And I remember it being the BBC. I've got a memory, and I'm not sure if this is right, But what I remember is queuing at the sort of cafe bit downstairs for a styrofoam cup of coffee with Madonna in the queue with 20p for a cup of coffee.
No, I think that's completely right. And then there was that bar, because I can't remember this, but Steve tells us with that bar upstairs that you could get like lager for 3p or something, and everyone was all absolutely trousered all the time up there. But he said that, but I remember there was about 30 of us shoved in a tiniest room, just boiling with no water, just waiting to go on. It was so rubbish, but brilliant.
What's for people who don't remember Thursday 7:30 BBC One, was just how important Top of the Pops was at breaking acts, important not just in the UK but actually around the world. It's one of the most important pop shows that ever was.
It's ever been, and there was, because I remember at school even, obviously after that, but we were told. I remember going to assembly and somebody said, "You've got to number 2. We're going to London to Top of the Pops."
Wow.
And then there was this big, it was horrible. It was like this big sort of Game of Thrones choosing thing going on. And I was a stand-in for the solo, so I was a given. And my brother, who could actually sing like you, I could sort of hold a note in a bucket, but I could act it, And he could really sing, and he wasn't chosen. So I did my first diva moment, and then I went, I'm not going then. And I was 7.
It work?
Yeah.
A star is born.
And then I'd waited till I was 24 to get my first job. But that's a different thing. Top of the Pops. What were those days like, Richard? I mean, I've heard Steve say, but what are those days like? It sounded amazing in London. It was just free and mental and wonderful. And
see, you didn't know any better. When I think about it now, it was just such a good time to be in a pop band because you had things like Top of the Pops, because people bought records. So there was lots of money sloshing around, and lots of opportunities to indulge the sort of lifestyle that pop star, sex and drugs and rock and roll, not often found on the CV of a Church of England vicar. But, it was another life, but it was kind of, the bits I can remember of it were kind of good fun. It was a long time ago, and a lot of it's a bit hazy, to be honest.
Oh, God, I can imagine, yeah. I mean, but Top of the Pops, it was a watershed moment in the fact that every Thursday it was on, and that's all you talked about all week.
The other thing I liked about Top of the Pops was it was just, because it was such an important show, everybody did it. So you would be on between the St Winifred School Choir and then, The Cure or something. So it was this really weird mixtures of bands and stuff.
Oh, yeah, it was almost a variety act, wasn't it?
I loved it. I loved all that.
Brilliant. And nobody got paid either, apparently.
I don't think we got paid.
No.
We got into terrible trouble once because if you were number 1, they had to have you on. So then you had the power. And there was one time when Jimmy and Sarah Jane, who also sang "I Don't Mean This Way," swapped voices. So Sarah Jane sang Jimmy's line and Jimmy sang Sarah Jane's. I remember Michael Hurl, who was the producer, got very cross about it.
I mean, what was your standout moment when you thought in your life, your pop star life, you've had many lives, but your pop star life, right, I've made it?
I think Concord, probably. Yeah, it's when we used to cross the Atlantic a lot. And sometimes I remember the first time I went to New York, and I'd literally been on the dole the week before, and I was signed with Communards. I went to New York, and the record company kind of fixed us up with a dinner in that kind of welcome to New York. So we went for dinner at the Odeon, which was then the trendiest restaurant in New York. And I remember a bowl of soup was $25. Shocked.
Shocking.
But we had so it was me and Jimmy. I was literally wearing clothes I bought in the Oxfam shops. And we had dinner. It was me and Jimmy, John Lydon, Andy Warhol, and I think it was Anna Wintour or someone. I was thinking, what am I doing in this world? And then walked into the studio, and the first person I saw was Yoko Ono. And you think, I'm in that world now. So it was just constantly just going, all of a sudden my life
what did the Queen
changed.
Mother do?
And it happened so quickly. I was literally signing on. The next minute I was...
So how did you go from that to becoming a priest?
Well, it was not...
Fascinating.
It was quite... So I left the band. Well, we didn't leave the band. We just had a break, which was still on. So we've had our break for 40 years.
Right, got it.
And I kind of knew... Yeah,
Please get that together.
It's not going to happen. I always thought this was never something I really planned to do, and it wasn't something I imagined doing for a long time. But at the end of that period, it was a very turbulent time. I started getting these little twinges and wanting to connect with what I had felt when I'd been a chorister.
Right.
I don't know what that was about. So I went to a church, walked in through the door and found it was just my homeland, really. And then I found my feet there. And then the longer I did it, the more it sort of came into focus that maybe for me, a future as an ordained person might be a thing. But I didn't want to do that.
That's quite from That is quite a...
Well, I didn't want to do that, so I thought I'd be mad. So I joined the BBC and I worked for BBC Radio, which is about as close to being the Church of England as you can get without being the Church of England. You see what I mean? So I did that for, I think, 9 years, and then finally bit the bullet.
Oh, so there was a bit of a...
Yeah, I did for Radio 3, I did its Arts and Culture magazine programme.
Oh, there you go then. All of a sudden you go, probably wasn't all of a sudden, but you went, I'm going to become a priest.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Well, I had to get that sort of stamped, if you see what I mean, so I had to go off and do this thing called a selection conference where it's based on the British Army officer training scheme. You go off and it's a 3-day thing and they give you lots of tests and you have to do these things and then there's an interview and then at the end of that they decide whether they think you're good to train, and they did. So I went off to theological college and life started on the bottom rung of a completely new ladder as just a trainee priest.
You met your late husband at theology college, or was it?
I was a curate in Boston, in Lincolnshire, at a whale of a time.
I love Lincolnshire.
And I was asked to go and preach at a friend's church in Norwich. So off I went. And I met David there. David was in the congregation. He heard me preach. So he came to see me after the service and he said, I'm interested in exploring my vocation. Can I come and see you? And I went, yeah, okay, innocently, thinking fine. So he came to see me and we just talked all afternoon. And then the bell went for Evensong. I said, I'm sorry, I've got to go to Evensong. And he said, I'd love to see you again. And I said, well, okay, well, maybe in 6 weeks or so we can pick this conversation up. And he went, all right. Then I was going to Evensong, my phone went and it was him and it just said, don't you get it? And that's how you pick up a vicar.
Ah.
And that was that.
That's how you pick a vicar up.
Wasn't looking for it, didn't want it, didn't see it coming. And then...
There he was, yeah. And so he became a vicar then?
Yeah, he did. He went off to theological college and then he...
got selected, did the usual...
Same old thing,
yeah, because it's not like it happens overnight, does it? And then
he went off to be curate at Wyndham in Norfolk, which was lovely. And I joined him there. And then I went to London and then we ended up together in Findon.
How did that work out that you get to do it together? That's amazing.
Well, just the bishop made it happen. So we had the bishop was just very supportive of
that's
our
amazing.
Relationship. Yeah.
I mean, that's really forward thinking, isn't it, when you think about it?
Well, yeah, and it was not a bishop who would be someone who was perhaps someone who'd be more conservative than you'd think than that, but he was immensely, I'm very grateful to him. He was very
business-wise, it is 2 for the price of 1 though, isn't it?
Well, I think that was quite good. In fact, it was 2 for the price of half because it was a poor parish. They could only pay half a stipend. So,
that'd be it then.
Yeah, they did well out of that.
Well, they've gone, what's the similarities being an international pop star and a parish priest?
Jazz hands,
obviously.
So there's a lot of showbiz.
Performance.
Weird hours. Everybody looks at you all the time. You dress up a lot.
Camp.
It is quite camp in its way. Not always. Some of it is. And the difference is the pay.
Right.
No Concorde.
No Concorde. It's just a nice old Honda.
Bus pass.
Bus pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, bus pass.
Actually, bicycle, sit up and beg bike.
Brilliant.
But then you look great as a vicar on a sit up and beg bike.
Of course you do. Do you, because I was brought up a Catholic, do you do confessions with that?
Sort of, although...
Right, not the nonsense ones we did from the age of 3.
Not really. It's more sort of, do you need to unburden yourself and you can tell me things in confidence, and I will help. God is there to relieve you of that burden, if that is a burden to you, and we can do that. I had a go at it. It was so long, my first one, that we stopped for sandwiches in the middle. We did, Sally.
When you did your first confession?
We had to break for lunch from Marks and Spencer.
And who did you do your confession with?
Well, I'm not allowed to say.
Okay,
I can't say
sorry.
anything about it, but what I can say is that we did have sandwiches from Marks and Spencer.
Follow the show on social media. Search for A Night In with Sally Lindsay. Right, we've got another question for you before the break. Richard was eliminated second on Strictly Come Dancing in 2017, but who did he lose the dance-off to? See you after the break. Right, Richard, what is the answer? Who did you have the dance-off with?
That was Simon Rimmer.
He's
lovely Simon Rimmer, yeah.
I've known Simon for years.
He invented pulled pork. Did you know that?
Pulled pork. Oh, he's clever.
He was very clever.
He's
very
clever. And I'll tell you, he was amazing because we went to Dubai by accident. And I know.
Where were you meaning to go to?
Well, I sort of Googled kids club. I just finished Panto and it came up with this deal. And I don't want to go there. It's sunny. It wasn't my favourite place. But Rimmer had a restaurant there and I was so horrified by the prices. I was cheeky enough to ring him up and say, Rim, have you got a restaurant? And he went, yeah, you can get 50% off, but I only own half of it. I love him. He's such a sweetheart.
A nice guy. And also,
I love him.
I love cooking and I love...
Oh, he's brilliant.
I really like actors and I really like chefs.
Yeah.
So I get on very well with chefs.
I love it. I love a chef.
Oh,
I love
too.
a chef.
Yeah.
Right. So what led the decision, going back to being a priest, to leave this wonderful place and to leave this sort of community?
Well, David died.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry for that.
Thank you. So David, he was only 43, poor thing, and he had a serious drink problem, and that was the end of him. And like lots of people who suffer bereavement like that, I kind of realised I was going to have to restart my life to find out a way of living that livable life. And I knew we were going to have to leave. I was 60, and thanks to a brilliant manager, you know, managers in pop music are supposed to take all your money.
Yeah.
My one did the opposite. She was so great, and she fixed me up with a pension, which meant that I could have some choices.
I've heard a little secret about you, that you were the inspiration for the character Tom in Bridget Jones. Is that true?
That's true, actually. Yeah. So Helen Fielding, old mate of mine, we were friends, and then she started writing Bridget Jones' Diary, which was a column in a newspaper to begin with. And so I was the basis for Tom, although since then there's a friend of ours called Dan, so he's kind of bundled in there too. So it's a composite, but it started out as being me, yeah.
I think that is so brilliant. Isn't that fantastic?
In fact, when they did the movie, Richard Curtis, who was one of the people who wrote it, he said to me, oh, I've got some news here. So what's that? He said, do you know who's going to play you? And I said, no. And he went, Robbie Williams. And I thought, oh, fantastic. And then it wasn't Robbie Williams, it was somebody else. But I'd already boasted that I was going to be played by
You
Robbie
dined
Williams.
out on it for weeks.
Yeah, and everyone went, not Robbie then. But it was James Callis, who's a brilliant actor.
Oh, God, brilliant.
And yeah.
Now, the one thing we've got in common, more than having quite a laugh and having podcasts on 5, is we are both well into cozy crime and murder mystery.
Yeah.
And we're not only that, we're quite successful at it, aren't we, dear?
Well, yes. I know, that's much to my surprise. Moment when I thought my kind of work life was winding down, it kind of wound up.
So when I wrote Madame Blanc, because I didn't write the novel, I wrote straight into series. Yeah. And I just wrote the idea and thought, oh, somebody else will write it. And then we couldn't get a writer. So I rang, everybody up and they're all busy. And Channel 5 and Acorn just said, can you get a script to us in a couple of weeks and then we'll see what the tone is. So I rang my mate Sue Vincent up, who we'd only done comedy before, and we did murder mystery. And it's so weird. It came somewhere out of my head because I was so obsessed with Agatha Christie, Conan Doyle. And is that similar to you? How was your story? How did you get to write the amazing Murder Before Evening song?
Well, I've always loved a murder mystery.
Yeah.
And in fact, my two main inspirations are exactly the same as yours.
Are they? Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes was the first proper book I ever read, and I loved it. Loved that kind of enigmatic, slightly weird figure who could see things other people couldn't see. And then when I was on tour and the chaos of all that, the one thing that was I used to read Agatha Christie novels. And I think what I learned from Agatha Christie is, she's just the most amazing plotter, really. Yeah. And I think with you, Sally, if I may say so, I'm sure you know how things work.
I think it's because, though, I think I was influenced so much by her. Yeah. And I think if people think it's that one, then you find out, then you twist it again and you twist it again and then maybe you twist it back. Yeah. And I think finding the art of that, I love doing it. And I mean, we absolutely loved Murder Before It. It was so good and so well made. Thanks. Honestly, it was like, oh, thank God, it's something we can watch. And it was such a brilliant world, and it must be selling everywhere around the world. It must be.
Well, it seems to be doing all right.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's perfect. It's like, sorry, I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan. And so did you write the scripts or did you?
No.
So obviously you wrote the book.
I wrote the book, and then it was picked up by Lighthouse, actually.
Yeah, Lighthouse,
who
brilliant.
were terrific. And then Nick Hicks Beach, who's brilliant, who worked on EastEnders, worked on lots of things. One of those people who's worked on everything.
If you've got one writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did, because I don't know how to write for telly. And
Yeah.
I don't want to do things unless I feel I could make it
totally, yeah.
go at it. So I was very happy I was an executive producer, which basically means I had headphones and a bacon sandwich. You know how it is.
I'm exec as well. It's a little bit.
But you know what you're doing. But also just talking to the actors. So that was really interesting. I spent some time talking to the actors.
And also what's brilliant about the writer of the book being exec producer is you can literally go to the actors and say, this is what's in my head. And the reason we cast you is because you're in my... Because sometimes they're in your head before they walk through the door.
The weirdest thing for me was seeing what had just existed in my imagination.
I know, it's
all of a
mad,
sudden
isn't it?
being... So I was thinking, Dora, you turn right for the post office, not left for the post. Oh, no, that's in my mind. And so it was really interesting seeing somebody else visualise and create a people and the place. And also, it was such a great cast. I mean, just watching people
amazing.
like Matt and Amanda Redmond, who played Audrey, did it, and Amit Shah, who I adore. They're just terrific cast.
It's just such a good watch, you know, it's such a lovely watch.
And I love seeing people who are good at stuff doing the thing they're good at.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourite things, though.
Yeah, I've never been remotely jealous of that. You know, I think there's a lot of actors that go, I wish I'd have had that part. And I've never thought that. I've thought,
I agree with you completely. I just love to see somebody being really good at something.
Great, isn't it? Yeah. You know, it's blooming great, Richard. Congratulations. I hope you write 1 million of them and it goes forever.
I'm doing it. I'm enjoying it so much.
Yeah.
I've just killed someone in my least favourite Christmas Carol. So that's good. Oh,
what's your least favourite? Are you not giving it away because it's in the book? Okay. Isn't it interesting? My Google search, if they took me away to a police station, I probably could get arrested because I go, interesting ways of murdering people.
Oh, yeah.
And then it comes up, the Samaritans comes up straight away. And then you go, honestly, I'm fine. So fortunately, I'm me and you're you. As you have to explain why you're Googling that. But I love finding that out.
So I do corporate speeches, quite a lot of them. And one of my favourite things, so you drop down into somebody else's, well, so, you know, the British Parking Awards or the, I don't know, trenchless technologies. I
did the train drivers awards in Manchester, brilliant.
But you drop down, and so I always say to people, how would you kill someone in your profession? I have to remember to say I write murder mysteries before I ask the question.
Not I'm a raving lunatic. There was one where I killed by sound, and Steve in a studio. You'd obviously appreciate this, but it was like, but Steve sort of gave me advice on how big the woofer had to be and what woofer that would be. And I love doing that. We love doing that. And then there was another one where I read this brilliant little article that this Japanese woman hated her husband so much that she ironed his shirts every day with a tiny bit of arsenic. And every day it went slowly in.
Wow.
That brilliant. So that was fashion. Lisa Fortin's one.
And I think people like it because I think ultimately it offers reassurance. You know, there's a familiar world, Vicar, big house, English country village, and it's all turned upside down. And then somebody comes along and fixes it. And that speaks to our anxieties. I think that's why Cosy Crime has got such a wide readership and lots of people like to watch it too.
I think it's very much, I think you're absolutely right, Richard. I think it's absolutely to do with the world.
Yeah. In
my world of Saint Victoire, there's a lovely pub, there's a square, there's all lovely friends, and then somebody goes and then Jean goes and fixes it all. And I think you're absolutely right. It's not rocket science, but it's a very hard recipe to bake.
And then the one after that, I'm going to write Ghost Story. I've always wanted to do a novel-length
I
ghost
love
story.
A ghost story too.
Me too.
So Richard, you're a bit of a reality star as well.
There's so much reality telly, as you know, that basically you only need to be in a guest on Countdown before sooner or later you'll get asked to do something. So I think I've done nearly all of them now, or lots of them anyway.
But you love OT.
I love OT.
She's lovely. I've only met her once. She was lovely. She's got energy of her.
Oh, and she's such a lovely. We've just made a documentary actually. So we've been filming in South Africa.
Have you?
Yeah, we had a great time.
Oh, I'm loving that.
She rescued me from being killed by an elephant.
What? Go on.
Well, we were on a game reserve up in the Eastern Cape, and I'd never seen these animals in the wild before, so I was just in love with it. Anyway, we came around a corner, and there was this family of elephant. I was going, oh, look at the lovely elephants. And the director was going, oh, great, lovely elephant, film. And then they said, we need to get out of here. And I said, elephant? She said, no, we really need to get out of here. I was going, and she was right. We had to jam on reverse and just get out of this shot as soon as possible because the elephant, they had their young with them. Because they saw us and they were kind of not pleased to see us. And we just managed to get out of there before
and
we
she
had
knew.
Well, all the Africans knew because we were all going, oh, look at elephant,
Oh,
lovely Dumbo, you know. They're going, we really need to get out of here.
Dumbo.
But do you know what I mean?
Dumbo. I know, because we're rubbish, aren't we?
And also, it's just so exciting to see these animals in the wild. Yeah.
So in I'm a Celeb, you said before that you liked it because you can eat cockroaches.
Yeah.
What was the experience like? Did you like it? Or because some people absolutely hate it. You loved it.
Loved the whole thing. I mean, I had no idea what I was getting into at all. But from the minute I set foot in that jungle, I absolutely loved it. So there's me and Maura. We went to this sort of sub-camp thing, and it was just me and Maura, Love Island. And I'd worked with Maura before, actually. We'd met before on The Wheel, of all places.
Oh, yeah.
And I always liked her. And so there was me and this Love Island finalist sharing a bed on the first night. My agent said that's a bit like giving a pork pie to a vegan, which I thought was unnecessary. But we had such a laugh. The other thing, I thought discomfort, not my thing. So I kind of thought there'd be a nice loo and a nice shower just out.
Yeah.
No, none of that. You wash in the creek, you're covered in fish guts, you stink all day long, there's no change of clothes and everything. I loved it.
Did you?
Slept better than I have ever slept.
I think it's because, Richard, I think you're happy in your own skin. And I think that is a thing about going into that. Because it's 2 weeks, isn't it? Is it 2 weeks? 3 weeks, which is a long time. But I think it's a longer time nowadays because we're so constantly being entertained by something.
Yeah.
And I think to be happy in your own skin is the thing you have to be in there.
Also, I just really like other people. I like being with people. I like being with people who aren't in my world.
Yeah. Finding out about them.
And working it out.
Yeah.
It's really, I've just been watching Lord of the Flies. Have you been watching
No, I've saved it though.
It's so good.
Is it great?
But it occurred to me that I am the only boy chorister who survived in a jungle in real life, I think. So that gives me a unique insight, or so I think. But it was great. I loved it. And everything about it was, I mean, it was tough. It was grueling. Why is it such a fun experience, though? Partly because you learn stuff, right? Partly because you're thrown together with... When do you get a chance to spend 3 weeks with a bunch of strangers?
Yeah.
You don't, do you?
No, ever.
And also, it's like being a kid again because you play, you do the challenges. It's so much fun.
Time for another break. Now, before that, we've got a question. Now, Richard had a career as a reverend, but which TV show featured the hot priest? Welcome back. But which TV show featured the hot priest? And the answer is Richard.
Oh, that's Fleabag.
Fleabag.
Wasn't it? Andrew Scott.
Andrew Scott, amazing actor. Yeah. Now, do you think this is a common thing? People fancying priests?
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a niche interest, but it's a powerful one. Yeah. But,
is it?
Well, one of the things you learn at theological college is how to deal with what, in the sort of everyday parlance, are called cassock chasers. I'm not often speechless. So it's a thing, and you are literally like double cassock chasing on a Monday. They say to you, look, there's going to be people who fall in love with you. You need to be aware that there are some people who have a particular kind of interest in clergy. Yeah, I think it's to do with, I don't know what it's to do with, but it's a thing. There are sites apparently. Quite niche. Every denomination, there's a Mormon version, a gay Mormon one.
So please tell me about your brand new show, Catching Up with the Royals for Five.
Well, anyone who's interested can, of course, get it wherever you get your social media. YouTube on a Thursday.
Lovely.
And you can watch on 5 on a Saturday. Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. Come one, come all.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're a perfect choice, obviously, but...
Well, thank you.
And I love it,
I'm so fascinated by it. And I'm not particularly interested in the royal gossip and intrigue. Well, I am a bit, but no, not particularly. What I am interested in is that they hold up a mirror to ourselves, I think.
Really?
And it's a family that sort of, you can see you plot your own family life against it, I think. And it tells you a story about our national life in a way that's quite significant. And also, I've become a reluctant monarchist. I've always been a Republican, really, Sally, but I changed my... That was through being ordained, really. And I began to see that there's a value in having these enduring roles and having a head of state who's not a political appointee, but someone who gets it, an accident of birth, a good reason as any, perhaps. And then, of course, there's just this... At the moment, it feels like you're watching a sort of car crash. There's just so much stuff happening in that world now.
Yeah. And
it's telling us something we need to pay attention to about how we live and who we are.
It does,
and our
doesn't
place
it?
in the world, I think.
And also what who we aspire to you know, I'm not saying all the royals, but who we aspire to, like
and what we value.
Yes,
and
exactly.
also what we deplore.
Yes, what deplore, what we value, and what money means to us, and what is the price of things. I think.
Also,
but I suppose that's another question.
I like jewellery.
Oh, I love a crown jewel.
I haven't any, because what am I going to wear? You know, but if I could get away with wearing a tiara every day, I would.
I think you should.
Well, I don't know where I'm going to get one from, but also, you know, but there's something about the bling and the glitter and the dazzle and the thing that kind of bewitches me a little bit.
Now, this last bit, we have like a little quiz, but this quiz is about you and your career. So everybody says that.
Am I supposed to know the answer?
You're supposed to know the answer. You don't have to.
Okay,
but it's sort of, you know, we'll just see how it goes. Some people know them all. Some people don't any. So your first question, Richard, is which song replaced Don't Leave Me This Way as number 1 in 1986?
I have no idea.
It was Rita Petite.
Was it?
The Sweetest Girl, yeah. Now, I wouldn't have even put that in the same year.
No,
and I was obsessed with the charts, and I that's so mad. That is so mad.
I remember the other record that was still around was Every Loser
Wins. Was that Wixie?
Nick Berry.
Nick Berry, yeah.
That was a big record of that.
Big record of the time. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Now, you had a cameo in a 2018 episode of Holby Titty.
Yes.
What was your character's name?
I can't remember. I was a vicar.
Yes, you were. He's very exotic.
I married Lofty.
You did.
To his partner.
So this is quite a, like, if you were going to write the classic chasing murder mystery novel, this is the name you want.
Was it Hereward?
Henry de Havilland.
Henry de Havilland.
Reverend Henry de Havilland.
I got to drive a Rolls Royce in it. Only about 2 feet, you know, because there was somebody pushing it.
Insurance, yeah, we know that.
That was my only ever go in a TV soap, and I loved it. I liked it too much, Sally.
Did you go back going, I should be an actor?
No, I could just sense her going, you know?
Pull it back, Richard.
Just a little bit.
Matthew Lewis played Canon Daniel Clement in Murder Before Evensong brilliantly, by the way. What an amazing actor. And now, what do you play in Harry Potter?
He played Neville Longbottom.
He did.
And I was so pleased when they said Matt was up for the role, because I thought Neville Longbottom was actually, for me, the most interesting character in the whole of the Harry Potter franchise. And that character, the difference between him at the end and him at the beginning was so huge.
Now, you came third on I'm a Celeb in 2024 brilliantly. Yeah. Now, what % of the votes did you receive? Do you know this?
No idea.
So you received 25%. But the winner got 41%, so 25% is massive.
But it's not 41%. That was Danny from McFly.
It was.
You see, I should have tried harder in pop music. Maybe I'd have got that score up.
I think you did all right in pop music, Rich. I think you did all right. You are a wonderful man and you are fascinating, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. So nice. I had a lovely time. And we need to do dinner.
Yeah.
And get Whitey out.
I'd love
Little
to get
Stevie White.
Out. Oh, it would be lovely.
Age 60.
He's not 60.
Don't forget, you can listen to A Night In with Sally Lindsay every Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch on YouTube and stream on 5. See you next week.